On tonight's episode of An Old Man Talking About Vinyl, I am going to show you some records in my, I guess what I call my old collection or my core collection, which are records that I've had since I was in high school or college. So these records have been with me a long time, and I kind of keep them in a special place in the bookcase back here. So I'll show you where I keep those. They're actually behind some Ikea door inserts, and they're not really any more special than some of the other records in my collection, but they've been with me a long time, so they sort of have sentimental value, although some of them do have a lot more monetary value too. Anyway, I thought it might be interesting to go through some of those records because a lot of times they just sit there in the cabinet and I don't really get to see them much. So I'm going to go through those section by section. Okay, first of all, I'm just going to kind of show you my record cabinet. This is one of two of these Ikea Expedit or Kallax type cabinets that I have. One's at the office. This is the one at my house. And here's how they're organized. So the top couple of rows here, mostly these records in the top row going all the way down to the second row here are records that I've cleaned and listened to. Those are mostly new acquisitions from within about the past 10 years, maybe a little bit longer in some cases. Then there's a little divider here with some Ruben and Ed artwork on it, courtesy of my friend DJ Jennifer, that I use as a divider. Then the rest of these albums from the next couple of rows down are all records that have not been cleaned, have not been played yet. So I pull those out periodically and check them out. Sometimes I put them in the trade pile. Sometimes they go in the permanent collection up here. And then down lower, you have these little insert doors. And these are my core collection records. So they're all alphabetized. This section is numbered albums, for example, 10cc going through the letter C. So in this video, I'm just going to be pulling out the records in the A and B section just to make it simple. And I'm going to talk about a few of these albums, but mostly I'm just going to pull them out and show you what's in there. So the first record in my collection is a numbered album. It's For Who Dared, the number 4, and then Who Dared. This is a band that was members of the X-Teens, North Carolina-based power pop outfit led by Todd Jones. And some of the members of that band, after the X-Teens broke up, went on to form For Who Dared, put out this really nifty album, and it's called Kids with Dynamite. It's a great album, kind of hard to find. I think I picked up a copy of this off of eBay about 20 years ago. Really great stuff. Okay, the next up in the numbered albums is 14 Iced Bears. I believe that they had some stuff maybe on the Sarah label. This is actually on, I can't even tell, but anyway, I like the neon colors on there. So you've got green and orange and green and orange. This is called Precision Singles 1986 to 1989 by 14 Iced Bears. Has a real creation, kind of British indie pop sound. One of those C86 bands. Next up is a 10cc compilation. This one is called 10cc Greatest Hits 1972 to 1978. Love the artwork on it. It's got some of their classic early stuff on it. Rubber Bullets, The Wall Street Shuffle. No. Oh yeah, I'm Not in Love, last song on here. Anyway, really fun album. And then finally, I got this up at Ox 33 in Montreal a couple of years ago. This is a Canadian pressing of 10cc's Deceptive Bins. Normally, the album has sort of a vinyl, or I'm sorry, a violet looking background here around the circle. So this one is a sort of minty green. I think it actually looks better in this color. I'm not sure why they put out different editions, but this was in superb condition. It's just an album that everybody should have, Deceptive Bins. And that does it for the numbered albums. So now I'll move on to the A albums in a minute. Now I'm going to go through the A's in the collection. So the first album here This I bought in England in 1985. I think this might have come from Red Rhino Records. This is Actifed, a band produced by Tony James, sort of post-punk, punkish, rocky kind of stuff. Really good. It's called Dawn of a Legion. It's an EP. If I'd had more time and more money and more suitcase space, I would have bought a lot more of these old punk singles. But as it happens, I only came away with this one by Actifed and an album by the Destructors. Really enjoy that music. Okay, next up is an album that I purchased probably in the 90s. It's dated from 1995. This is Me, Me, Me by Air Miami. Love this album. It's double 45, really heavyweight vinyl, kind of the early days of those types of pressings. Some dream pop on here, some kind of jangly indie stuff. This is Mark Robinson's band after he moved to Miami. He's the guy who runs the Teen Beat label, and I believe this is on Teen Beat, but it was a dual release on 4AD also. So this one is Teen Beat and 4AD. Beautiful pressing. Just listened to this a couple of weeks ago because I hadn't heard it in a while, and it still holds up. Okay, next up, I have an album that I actually just got a few years ago, but it went immediately into the core collection. This was my first and so far only Amon Duul record that I have on vinyl. This is Amon Duul II, Hijack. I believe this is an Atco pressing. I think it's an American pressing. Interesting music. Not the greatest Amon Duul album, but I'm glad to have it. I do like it. This one a friend gave to me, DJ David, probably back in college. He might have gotten this on CD and then given me his vinyl copy. So this is The Mill Pond Years by And Also the Trees. Really good stuff there. That is on Reflex Records. It's one of their earlier releases from the 80s. Here's a record you can find pretty often very cheap, sometimes $1, sometimes $3. It's Ian Anderson's Walk Into Light. It's really basically just Ian Anderson with Peter John Vitesse, who had joined Jethro Tull around 1984 as their keyboardist. And it's very, very keyboard heavy music, but it has good melodies. It doesn't sound anything like Aqualung, if that's your cup of tea. I happen to love it, but you know, I'm kind of a strange bird when it comes to liking things that other people don't like, as you probably already realize. So anyway, I recommend it if you like Tull, but you might start trying to find where I live and throwing rocks at my house, so just be advised. Okay, next up are a couple of Isabelle Antena records. This is another one my friend gave me. I'm not sure why. This is one of the coolest records anybody's ever given me, but this is Fire. It's a compilation of her music. It's on Le Disques du Crépuscule. I can barely read the titles on here, so I'm not even going to try. And here is another Isabelle Antena record that I picked up at Aux 33 a few years ago. This immediately went into my core collection. It is, I'm going to try to pronounce this, De l'Amour et d'Homme. And it's got really cool typesetting, as you can see. It's an EP. Has a couple of songs I already knew, but a few B-side tracks that I didn't know. I used one of those in a DJ set a while back. Okay, here is a Stone Cold Antenna classic. So this is Isabelle Antena's band Antenna with Camino del Sol, the EP, in really, really nice condition. I think I picked this up for $3 or $4 at Murmur in Orlando back in the 1980s. It was my first exposure to Antenna, and I immediately dug their music, so I've been collecting it ever since. Moving on, I'm about to show you a whole stack of AR Kane albums. AR Kane are one of my favorite 80s British bands. The brothers, I believe Alex and Rudy Tambala are their names. Anyway, they put out some very diverse and interesting music. And the first, I have a lot of EPs by them. So this is their very first EP on One Little Indian, which was Bjork's label. And it's called When You're Sad. It's got a couple of different mixes of that song and a non-LP B-side. Next up is something that's a lot more in line with the work that they did with Colorbox on the Mars single. So this is Listen Up. It's kind of got a little bit of a house sound. I'm not really into house music, but I do like this track quite a bit. Okay, next is just a sheer joy to listen to. This is the Up Home EP by AR Kane. 4 tracks of sheer bliss, with really cool artwork too. Highly recommend that you pick that up if you can find it. This is a little bit of a I guess, less significant part of their output. This is the Lovesick 12-inch single. It's good. It's not up there with the Up Home EP, but it's still good music. And this is their only release on 4AD, which is the single Lolita, which is also very cool, kind of dream pop. Some of the other tracks on there are very scratchy and dissonant. All right, we're getting towards the end of the A section. So I have Alpha by Asia, an album that I've had for a long time that I enjoy quite a bit. It's a little bit over the top in places, but it's one of my favorite album cover designs ever. I wish I could live there, wherever that place is that Roger Dean painted. Okay, then next up we have some Virginia Astley from Gardens Where We Feel Secure. Sort of ambient stuff. This one I actually like a lot better by Virginia Astley. This is Hope in a Darkened Heart with arrangements by Ryuichi Sakamoto. A little bit darker music, or lyrically anyway. And then last but not least, Christmas with Chet Atkins, a classic. Good album to pull out at Christmas time. You know, just set it up on your mantle and look at that snowy tree and guitar. So that'll do it for the first section. Numbered albums through A. I'll pick up with the B section later, make another video about those sometime, and probably end up going through the whole collection. Thanks for watching.